All right, we talked about yesterday about the attempts to change kind of the rules for receiving Social Security disability benefits, particularly for those people over 50 years old. So if you got any questions on that, if you're in that particular category, make sure you watch my video yesterday. It deals with, again, for those people that are filing new claims for disability benefits starting at 50 years old, or if you're currently receiving Social Security disability benefits, and you're over 50 years old. There's some changes there. This was the thumbnail for the video yesterday on disability benefits. Again, new claims for 50 years old and people receiving benefits. So we're talking about CDRs, continuing disability reviews. But today we're talking about another plan. Well, this is not a plan. It's already been done. Starting August of 2025, they cut back funding for a particular program out there that helps the vulnerable populations get disability benefits. Anybody that's ever filed for disability benefits knows that it is a long process, even under the best circumstances. I know I've helped hundreds of thousands of people get their disability benefits when I worked for Social Security, and now in my semi-retirement, I'm still helping people navigate the entire bureaucracy. This is also a live Q&A. So if you're currently filing for disability, you know someone that is, you're currently receiving disability benefits, you're thinking about filing for retirement benefits, survivor benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, this is the place for you. We help people out 24/7. Make sure they get the benefits they're eligible for. A lot of people out there struggling. Okay, so what program was cut? It was called SOAR. The SSI and SSDI Outreach, Access, and Recovery. It was basically a federally funded program. It was kind of run in the particular states, but it was funded federally that helped vulnerable populations file for disability benefits. And we're talking homeless people, mentally ill people, people that are at risk of being homeless. Over the last many years, SOAR has helped over 100,000 people, homeless people, and people that are at risk of being homeless get their disability benefits. So what they did is part of this federal funding, and it wasn't very much. It was a drop in the bucket, just a few $1,000,000. And they instructed people throughout the country, these kind of SOAR representatives, and these programs still exist. The SOAR program still technically exists in some states, but what the situation is when they lose their federal funding, then the federal government says, hey, y'all can still go ahead and do it and help, people that are struggling and, have mental illnesses and physical illnesses and homeless and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you can still help those people out, but we're not going to help you do it. So if you can find some money some other place, then go for it. So some states are continuing that program, but we're going to see, I think, those programs, if they don't get some funding some other place, and this is one of the things we're going to do here, is we're going to try to reach out. We have the best community on social media, and this is what all of these people do. Tweety Bird and Grace and Nancy and Bella and Ronald and all those people, Pink Owl, Fast Eddie, all those people. We've got hundreds of thousands of people throughout the country, and here is our new mission, because this program is pretty much ending in a lot of states, that it is our responsibility now to reach out to these people. So if you know someone in this particular situation that's homeless, at the risk of being homeless, has physical issues, mental illnesses, and you saying, oh, this person really needs to file for disability benefits, they can get SSI or SSDI. My regular viewers know the difference. SSI is Supplemental Security Income. It's a welfare-based program, a means-tested system the Social Security Administration administers. You can get SSI. It doesn't come out of the Social Security Trust Fund. It comes out of regular taxation. But SSI you can get based on being disabled or being aged, 65 and older. So if you see people out there struggling and you're saying, oh, this person, definitely qualifies for SSI, the max you can get in SSI is $967, but it also opens the door for other types of benefits, Medicaid, and help with your Medicare Part B premium and all the rest of it. So there's a lot of other doors that opens. And anybody 65 and older that's getting less than $967, it has and doesn't have any other income or resources, let's reach out to those people. And my regular viewers probably can help those people straight out. But if you find any of those people like that out there, make sure you tell them about this channel. Remember, you can go on to my website, mygovexpert.com. And on the bottom left there, let me see if we can pull it up here. On the bottom left, you'll see a little icon. And on the little icon, it'll have a little question or comment there on that bottom left. You click on that and you can ask a question or make a comment or whatever the case may be for 2 minutes. I've got a few of those questions today I'll get into here in a little bit. But if you see someone like that and out in a homeless shelter or the supermarket or wherever the case may be, barbershop or whatever, I don't really go to the barbershops very often, but anyway, that's a whole different issue. But if you see something like that, grab your phone, go to mygovexpert.com, click on that little thing, put it up in front of them and say, hey, you have issues, you need help. Let's see what Ed says. And everybody knows I love doing the videos. I love answering the questions for the videos. So and then you just push the little button there, let them record their 2-minute video, press it again, and I will answer it the next day. So let's go out there and help as many people as possible because the funding for this particular program is ending. So let me get back to, for those new people, SSI, so that's supplemental security income. You get that based on disability or being aged 65 or older. And then SSDI is Social Security Disability Insurance. That's the program that you pay into when you pay FICA. A focused lady donated $19.99. You are too awesome. And she asks, are people on SSDI still required to submit pay stubs if they are working under the SGA? No, if you're working under SGA, this year it's $1,620. You don't necessarily have to submit your pay stubs. If you have already fulfilled your 9 months trial work period. So remember, focus lady here. Do I have her on the question here? Is she up there somewhere? Okay, there she is right there. So remember the trial work period. So for the first 9 months, you can work as much as you want, $1 billion a month, and it doesn't affect your Social Security. You know, Congress set up that program where it says, hey, people on disability, we want these people to go back to work. If they're able to work, we want them to go back to work. So let's set up a program where they can try to go back to work and not worry about being cut off. So for the first 9 months, it's not necessarily consecutive. Any month you go over, this year it's $1,160. That's one of your trial work periods. So if you're still in your 9 months, I would reach out and say, yeah, if you're going to go over the trial work period trigger month, the $1,160, contact Social Security and show them that, hey, yeah, I've gone over that. And then you go into what's called your extended period of eligibility, where you have for 36 months, as long as you're under SGA, you're good. So at that time, you don't necessarily, if you're going to stay under SGA, but I always recommend don't go right up to the limit. You know, the limit is $1,620. Don't do $1,619 because that kind of, sets up a little bit of a red alert there. So yes. So the vulnerable populations, since the federal government, our elected politicians believe that it's a big, beautiful thing to cut off as many vulnerable populations as possible, then the only alternative is to turn it to the states. And unfortunately, the states are going to be really, really hurting, particularly with all the cutbacks to Medicaid and food stamps and everything like that. So the states are going to have to take up a lot of that slack, and things like this are going to definitely fall through the cracks. So we definitely need to reach out there. Again, there are sore places available, but I think they're going to be falling like dominoes now that the funding is gone. But it depends on your particular state. So definitely reach out to your particular state, or just let's do it ourselves type of situation. So this is, in a perfect world, cutting the SOAR budget to, these organizations that help the vulnerable. Okay, fine. Goes back to the states, states' rights, whatever the case may be. And then it goes to states. But it's not a perfect world because these states, again, are taking all these other hits. For example, cuts in terms of disability. I put together just off the cuff before I started our little video today. I said, okay, based on what's going on this year with the big beautiful bill and the executive orders and stuff like that, what type of what type of cuts are we looking at for the vulnerable populations out there, the disabled, children, the elderly? We've got cuts to disability. I talked about that yesterday. We've got cuts to HUD, the housing and urban development's been around here since the 1960s. It's never been a perfect program, but now we're talking about probably about 43% cuts. They're talking about kicking people off of there after 2 years. There's some exemptions in there. But when you cut a particular agency that helps, get people affordable housing, you're talking almost 50% cuts on that. That one is going to be a big one. I'm gonna make another video of that one and all the repercussions because of it. SSI in itself, they're talking about changing the rules for SSI, supplemental security income, where they're going to go back to previous ones where your any type of assistance you get in terms of food or shelter or anything like that might count against you again. They're talking about that. We've already heard about the $1 trillion or so of Medicaid cuts. That's going to hurt, and it's not going to hurt that 26-year-old, person in the parents' basement playing PlayStation. Well, they have to go back to work, but that's just a very, 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 very small. The other 97% of cuts go to the rest of the people. So that one's really, really going to hurt. SNAP benefits, food stamps are going to be cut, will be cut. Food banks are going to have a hard time keeping up with it. They're going to be really, really stretched. Medicare, there's going to be $500 billion of cuts to Medicare. And you're like, no, nothing in the Affordable Care Act talks about cuts to Medicare. That's correct. But there is the pay-go system that mandates our good friend, Russell Vogt, the Office of Management and Budget. He has the authority now to cut Medicare by up to over $500 billion. And he's one of the architects of Project 2025, so he's been chomping at the bit to cut Medicare for a while, and now he finally gets that opportunity based on the pay-go and the debt that was caused by the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act also is being cut by the big beautiful for billionaires bill. What else cuts? Electricity. The low-income energy assistance program is going to be cut significantly. Home services. These are home services that keep particularly elderly in their homes. So those are going to be cut back. So a lot of elderly are not going to be able to get the care that they need in their homes. So they're going to look for institutions, facilities to help them out. Based on Medicaid, they ain't going to be there in a lot of situations. Meals on Wheels have been cut back. Senior volunteers, my office of Social Security used to use these all the time. It's part of a Department of Labor, and it's administered by the AARP, where low-income seniors used to come to my office and volunteer. It's a volunteer, but they got paid from the Department of Labor. That one's being cut. Technically, it hasn't been cut, but from the last I've checked, these agencies that administer these senior volunteers and get these senior volunteers some extra money, they haven't been paid in a few months. So it's kind of a cut without being a cut. And then we see the VA, the Veterans Administration. Being an old Marine Corps sergeant, I always look out for vets there. And unfortunately, the Veterans Administration, I've got the situation up here. The VA to set caps on its workforce. We saw in the news they were attempting, internal records show that they were attempting to cut about 85,000 jobs from the VA, and we stepped up and said, no, you're not going to do that. So they knocked that back a little bit. Now it's not going to be 85,000, but we're talking about 30,000 or so. And they're going to cut it through various incentives and attrition and all the rest of it. And people are already having a hard time getting VA appointments. And so we definitely need to look out for those, the veterans out there. So these are all of the programs, and on my website, again, mygovexpert.com there, if you click on the Living on Social Security Alone tab on the right there, you can see a little bit more of those programs. So if you see anybody vulnerable out there, if see people out there struggling, which there's no shortage of that, there are programs out there available. They are slowly being cut and, sliced away at. SSI, SNAP, the Medicare Savings Program, Medicaid's being cut. The extra help with prescription drugs, that one seems to be okay now. But a lot of these others, Meals on Wheels, this is the Senior Volunteer Program. So a lot of these programs are being cut. So if you see any other programs that help seniors out, make sure you reach out, or anybody. That's what we do at this channel. Okay, let's get back to some questions. And someone said, there was a remark before we started today. Someone said, oh yeah, we should cut disability benefits because there's somebody next door that, I don't like. I think they're living the high life. And I think it should be cut. And that's the major issue we have, I would argue, in this country right here, is we've got two groups of people. Well, politicians have divided us into two groups of people. I don't think there's two groups of people. I think politicians are forcing us into these two different groups. There's one group of people, which our community here is definitely that group, that lift 100 people up to help 100 people. Yeah, there's one person in that group of 100 people that, okay, that's not really who we're targeting, but, okay, sometimes, you help 99 people and one person take advantage of it. Let's, work on getting that person that's taking advantage of the program. Let's make sure they don't take advantage of the program. But we understand temporarily, in order to help lift up 99, whatever. And then there's another group of people that I see one person, I don't even know that person, but doesn't look like me, doesn't come from the same background as me, doesn't have my same skin color or religion or cultural background or wear the same hats as I do or whatever the case may be. There's someone out there taking advantage of the system. Might be my next door neighbor. So let's just burn the whole thing down. And the other 99 people will suffer. But at least we got that one guy, right? That one person that was taking advantage of it, that one foreigner, that one immigrant, that one person. Yeah. So we are not Group B, our community here. So if you're part of Group B, then, you're probably not. I don't think there's there's people that are part of Group B. They're born that way, unfortunately. But most politicians force us into Part B, and we readily give up our compassion and join Part B for a while until we realize, or until that happens to us, and then we say, oh my gosh, wait a second, yeah. So I think most people, I'm kind of positive in that way. Most people are Part A, Group A, like our community here. But if you're Part B, come on over to I was going to say the dark side but come on over to the light. So, and the poor gets poor and the rich get richer. Yeah. All of those cuts that we just went through. So all of those cuts, those vulnerable cuts, the cuts to the vulnerable, we had to pay for those massive tax cuts for the super wealthy and the massive corporations. The private jets and all that stuff. And yes, a few pennies did come down to some of other people. Yes, some people said, well, I'm getting, this much more. Yes, temporarily. But the tax cuts for the really high earners, those are pretty much permanent. Any type of, temporary tax cuts on tips and the exclusion for Social Security, those are just temporary. Let's see. All right. This will be a depression. Yeah, in more ways than one, it sounds like, right? Yeah, I mean, this is classic, 1920s stock market. So, history repeats itself. I would argue, like kind of Mark Twain. It's not always the same song, but it's the same rhyme. So it's the same beat. So it's not always exactly perfect, but yeah. Christian missions giving free food are going to get very busy. Yes. And we're coming up with a program on that. It's very close. I think it's pretty much done. So we should be releasing that in the next week or so on a platform for y'all to make it easier for y'all to help each other and get help yourself and tell us about other type of resources, have a central hub of different resources in throughout the country. So, Jonah, I visited my neighbor who works at a food pantry. They had to bring everyone inside the building instead of lining them up outside due to ICE raids. It was a mess. People are scared to show up. Oh my gosh, that's unacceptable. Yeah. I'm alive, probably feeling better than anyone here. Thank you, Howard. Okay, all right. Yeah, Roxy, Music Rocks is having issues last few days, and so it's a beautiful thing. 1984 Nightmare, George Orwell. No, it's not really. No, there's a great book by Neil Postman, Amusing Ourselves to Death, and he does a comparison in the first couple of chapters about that, whether we're in the, the Brave New World, or excuse me, I gave it away, whether we're in Big Brother Orwell 1984 versus Brave New World by Aldous Huxley with Soma and the centrifugal bumble puppy, as they call it. But I think we're more in the Aldous Huxley Brave New World, where we're just giving up our, we're giving up voluntarily. It's not being forced on us necessarily. We're just saying, we hate these people, and I guess security is the most important thing in the world, supposed security. So we're willing to do anything and sacrifice everything for, as long as people say these 5 words: fraud, waste, abuse, illegal aliens. They use any of those 5 words, abracadabra, they can do whatever they want. It's crazy. How long will the public stand for this insanity? European and Asian countries would not tolerate these draconian cuts. Sometimes they do, historically, but we always thought we were American exceptionalism, right? But guess what? Happens to everybody. There's an old, there was an attempt back in the 1930s to assassinate the president, FDR, for bringing these programs, it's like Social Security Administration, unemployment insurance, and all that kind of stuff. They tried to recruit an old Marine, Smedley Butler, and Smedley Butler, great name. I used to be stationed on his base in Okinawa, Japan, Camp Butler. He dropped the dime on him. Very unknown kind of situation in American history, where large, super wealthy corporations tried to assassinate the president because thought he was becoming too socialist and, infringing on them. Remember to remind everybody who has either harmed or even just a majority inconvenienced by all these recent policies. They all need to vote the Project 2025 bums out in 2628. Yes, participatory democracy, right? You said earlier that the age is between 50 to 60 years old, disability are being cut. Well, it's basically what it is. Just watch, I go into more detail on video yesterday. It's basically they are making proposals to make it more difficult to get disability benefits after you're 50 years old. Once you're 50 years old and after, it's easier to get disability because once you're in your 50s and 60s, then disability is defined as the inability to work because of your disability. And if you have a kind of a borderline disability that, okay, you could probably work. If you were young in your 20s and 30s and, had an education and past work experience, then, okay, you can work. But once you hit your 50s and 60s, that disability, even though it's, borderline perhaps, but now that you're in your 50s and 60s, that disability just takes you out completely. So you're not allowed, you're not able to work. You can't find a job. And so that's what they're trying to kick back now. Precision 25. I'm 65 now and just was issued this card, People Health Dual Complete with dental, utensil, and non-food. Yes. So that is, if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you're what's called dual eligible because you have both. And if you're dual eligible, you have to be at the higher levels of Medicaid. There's different levels of Medicaid. You're also potentially eligible, if there's one in your particular area, for a Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan. If you're on Medicaid, you can't get the other alternative, which is the Medicare supplement. You can only get a Medicare Advantage plan. And in those Medicare Advantage dual eligible plans, some of them have extra benefits, over-the-counter drugs, extra benefits, over-the-counter type stuff, grocery cards, and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of people out there that depend on those, but But that particular program too is disappearing. That program is disappearing at this year, December 31st. It's called VBIT. So a lot of people that were receiving those extra OTC and grocery cards for 2026, they're being eliminated or cut back substantially. There's another program that is available, but it takes a few more hoops to get through it. You have to have a chronic disability, and you have to prove a few other things to the Medicare Advantage plan in order to get those. So they're going to be a lot more difficult, unfortunately, to get those grocery cards. And a lot of people were dependent on that extra $100, $200, a month. And so it's even going to be more difficult. So those people, then the food stamps are going to be cut back. The food banks are going to have a difficult time. Yeah, the Group B is a sad group of people. I agree. I mean, it's they there was they just hurt themselves and their family and their relatives and stuff just to get the other side. That's how politicians are working nowadays. It's dividing us. Politicians get more power the more they divide us. So are they taking away disability for some people? They are making it far, far more difficult. And one of the things I forgot to mention is the very last part of this. And these particular programs making it difficult to get disability. They're cutting back, housing for people. They're cutting back SSI, Medicaid, food stamps, electricity, all that kind of stuff. And one of the most important things is this last part, and people to help. Particularly like not particularly, but for example, the Social Security Administration. They've fired thousands of people this year, and Social Security was already at a 50-year low in terms of staffing, and now they're even worse. So the Social Security employees that are there, that you paid for to be there to help you get your benefits, your retirement benefits, survivor benefits, Medicare, disability benefits, a lot of those are gone, and it's far more difficult, and people are missing benefits every single day. I just got an email today from someone that we helped out that got 2 months of extra back pay because they knew, that Social Security Administration, that she fell through the cracks, and we told her, oh yeah, no, you can get 2 extra months. And so she was able to go in there, and she finally got her extra 2 months of benefits. So that's a beautiful thing. So thank you, community. The only reason she was able to get those 2 months is not because I informed her how to do it based on my, tips, tricks, and secrets, but y'all subscribed, liked, and shared, and all that kind of good stuff. And that's how she found our channel. So keep it up. Please keep it up. Doctor, what is the latest news for the ACA? Well, they've been trying to, kill that for decades. And they're still trying to do it again. So there's the advanced premium tax cuts, the tax premiums, that advanced credits. Yeah, I think that's the full name of it. Advanced premium tax credits. Yes, that's the full technical name of it. So it's basically when you sign up for an ACA plan, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, then you put down how much you make per year and stuff, and then it gives you advance credits, tax credits that you can, take off your taxes and stuff. But they give you to those in advance. So that helps a lot of people get health insurance. But we see those going away, and people are going to get, 300% increases. People are already getting that, and they have to make their decision pretty much now, over the next month or so, in order to sign up for next year. And the current administration is saying, well, let's just talk about that later. Well, no, there is no later. People have got to know exactly what to do now. And there's going to be a snowball, because millions of people they're not going to be able to afford it. So they're just going to drop it. And because insurance is a pooled risk, the fewer people you have in the pool, it goes up for everybody else. So other people's premiums are going to be increased as well, and more people are going to drop it, and then smaller pool, and then but that's the intent. That's how they decided to just There was an attempt to just completely end it, but famous John McCain put his thumb down, and it wasn't cut at that particular time, much to the chagrin of those people that didn't want it in the first place. Heidi, I have TBI, can't work. I get SSDI and I'm scared. So just right now, you just make notes. I did that video yesterday where I talked about this. So you're currently receiving disability benefits. So you've already gone through the process. The only thing you have to worry about is the CDRs. And as I always say, don't worry about the CDRs, the continuing disability reviews, until you actually get it in the mail. So if you're scheduled to have your CDR this year, next year, 2 years from now, don't worry about it until it actually comes in the mail. Once you get it, then you come back here, or you go to the new website that we'll have up here, hopefully within this month. And then there's going to be people throughout the country that are going to help you navigate the entire CDR process and food stamps and Medicaid and all the rest of it. So we are putting the power of the people back together. War is a Racket by Smedley Butler is worth the read. It's very short. Oh, Gracie, I loved Gracie Allen there. Yes. I called in today, made it on hold for about an hour and 20 minutes. Couldn't hold anymore. Hope I had better luck tomorrow. Thanks for all you do. Remember, so you called, I assuming you're called Social Security Administration. If a lot of people are going to lose money because of this, because of, at least you didn't have to deal with the AI. Yeah. But anyway, that's super annoying. If you were going to be filing a new claim or something like that, and you called today and you weren't able to get in, remember, if you're not able to get in until next month, November or something like that, tell them when you actually do get in that, hey, I called y'all in October and y'all didn't pick up the phone. So I wanted my benefits to start in October. So it's called protective filing. So make sure you jot that down that, hey, I called Social Security Administration. I called the 800 number. You can take a screenshot of your phone or whatever the case may be. I called them on 10/14 at 3:30 West Coast time, and y'all didn't pick up. So I wasn't able to get in because, life is what happens while you're making other plans. So I got distracted and I couldn't call it till November 1st, but I want my October check. I called y'all in October. So remember that. A lot of people are going to be missing those benefits. So if they don't know that trick. Jennifer, what's up, Jennifer? I think you're new here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Disabled registered nurse since 2005, got SSDI in 2008. New York workers' comp since 2005, 9 surgeries, back neck, $800 a month, workers' comp for life. SSDI, $920 a month. Can get SSI, I'm 64 in November. Can I get SSI? Probably not, because you are receiving workers' comp $800 a month, and then also SSDI $920 a month. So that's way over the $967. So SSI is welfare-based program. The max you can get is $967, and pretty much anything so even if you didn't have that workers' comp of $800, your SSDI is $920. So you would get $47 from SSI if you didn't have any other income or resources, because the max you can get is $967, and what you get from SSDI offsets that 1-for-1. There's a $20 exclusion in there, but remember, I'm sure you already know that workers' comp, any type of public disability benefit like that, is probably, I'm sure it is. If you're a registered nurse, you were probably making some pretty good money. And your SSDI benefit amount is a whole heck of a lot more than that. But because you're receiving workers' comp, that offsets your SSDI. So that will change when you are switched over to regular old retirement benefits. The workers' comp doesn't affect regular retirement benefits. So when you hit your full retirement age, probably 67 years old, you're going to be switched to regular retirement benefits. And at that time, workers' comp doesn't affect regular retirement benefits. So right now, your SSDI, I'm assuming that your SSDI is reduced. So let's say it's $1,500. Once you hit your full retirement age, you'll go back to $1,500. So, and because there'll be no more workers' comp offset. So. Let's see here. Christine, Danny, don't, oh, somebody's responded to someone else. You're not kidding us. There is a small temporary tax cut for most of us and a permanent huge tax cut for the wealthiest. Yes, you definitely just, it's easy to look up. Lifeline never worked. It was a bit of a scam. Yeah, it depends on the particular situation. For homeless community, it was a lifeline. It was started, they call it the Obama phone, even though it was started under Reagan in the 80s, but at that time it was an old landline, and Obama just updated it to modern technology and became a cell phone. So that's why they call it Obama phone. But I always told people, and I still tell people this today, if you're struggling and that extra $50, $60, $70 of your cell phone is just not doing it for you, you just can't, you just can't pay it any longer, then reach out, get one of those lifelines, but don't cancel your other plan for about a month. Get the lifeline if you're able to. Use it for about a month, and if you're good with all of the functions or limited functionality of it, then you can cancel your other ones. But some people get the lifeline thing and then they say, oh, I shouldn't have canceled my other one and stuff. So, all right. I'm at the hearing stage for my disability. While I still get it, I'm going for my heart disease. Well, you're still going to continue on, whether you get it or not. It's a completely different situation. But as of right now, so if you're asking about the limitation of those 50 and older, so if you're 50 and older, the new, as I talked about yesterday, the new limited regulations they're talking about aren't taking effect now. This is what they're proposing. But when they propose a change like that, how it works is they, check this out. They're supposed to do a public comment period. So reach out to your politicians and say, hey, I heard y'all are going to do this, that, and the other. I don't like this, that, and the other. So the cover of darkness, that's usually where they like to do things, but we don't play cover of darkness here. We tell people what's happened and what is potentially happened, so you can reach out and have your voice heard. And hopefully you're not part of Group B. SSDI or Social Security better at 64. Want to work but told repay of Social Security required if I return to work within a year. Yeah, if you're working and you're making over SGA, substantial gainful activity, then yeah, you can't get Social Security disability benefits. There are some IRWEs called impairment-related work experience, but about 1620 or so. If you're making over that, then you're not eligible for SSDI. So in terms of Social Security retirement benefits, then there is limitations there. The annual earnings limit for this year is $23,400. Anything over $23,400, Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. And then the year you turn your full retirement age, you can go back to making $1 billion a month, whatever you were making before. It doesn't affect your Social Security benefits negatively at all. Caleb, I tried to call a chapter. Yeah, they're getting ready. I'm going to have Ari from chapter here tomorrow. So if you're looking for to review your Medicare Advantage plan, if you're looking to see if you can switch, there's about 1 million people that are going to lose their Medicare Advantage plan. They've been canceled. So you might be able to get a Medicare supplement guaranteed issue where you won't have to go through health underwriting. I will put in my, I'll put in the description of the video as well. So call the number on the screen there. They'll call you back. If they don't call you back, email me at ed@mygovexpert.com and I'll reach out to their team there and make sure they give you a call back. But I'm also going to put a link. They've set up an appointment system for our community. I think it's the only one they have for appointments because we're awesome like that. So I'll put that in the link. So you can also, I'll put that in the description. So you can also go in there and set up an appointment. And remember, be prepared. So we want to make sure that you get the best plan for you for 2026 and you don't miss anything. So be prepared with the 6 Ps. Have your current plan if it's available, if you have it, at least know the name and what plan it is, because Don't just say, hey, I'm with XYZ company. XYZ company probably has 10 or 15 different plans. So if you know it, that's great. If not, then chapter can also look it up as well. Have your providers, if you're going to see, if you want, definitely want to continue seeing a particular doctor, primary care, physician, you want to go to a particular hospital, definitely want to use that hospital. Make sure you know all the names and the addresses so they make sure whatever plan they, find for you covers that. Your prescriptions, whether it's an extended release, how many dosage, the milligrams, all that kind of stuff, have that available. If you want to use a particular pharmacy, have the name, and then your priorities. You need more dental, you need more health, or you need more vision, whatever the case may be. And then be persistent when it comes to the other 364 days of the year. And that's why one of the reasons my son and I chose Chapter is because they're going to help you throughout the year with prior authorizations, finding new doctors, scheduling appointments and stuff like that. So they're awesome. So it starts tomorrow. October 15th is the beginning of the annual enrollment period, and it ends December 7th. And your new plan will take effect January 1st. So is Chapter understaffed? They should be good. They should be good. They are putting y'all's number one priority because of we have the best community on social media. Y'all look out for other people, so they're going to do their best to look out for you. So if you can't get in for whatever reason, schedule an appointment. Again, I'll put that in there. Email me, and I'll make sure they reach out to you. But I think everybody in this space is going to be understaffed for 2026 because we've got close to 1 million people that are going to be losing their plans. 2026. These companies are really cutting back plans, really cutting back benefits. So a lot of people are going to try to find the best thing out there, which is all about the persistence. That's part of the persistence is when you have a Medicare Advantage plan, the plans change every single year. So your plan might re-up for 2026, but the engine that runs it, either you're going to have a Corvette engine or you're going to have a Ford Pinto engine. So you got to check. Sorry, Ford Pinto people out there, but I have a phone appointment on the 23rd. Do you think with the shutdown, they will still call? I certainly, with the shutdown, Social Security are essential personnel. So hopefully they'll still call. The issue right now is on the 23rd, because I know I've done this for a few decades. You've got all these appointments, and the appointment calendar in each office is set up for a couple of 3 weeks in advance. And so the managers in that particular office that run the appointment calendar say, okay, on the 23rd, here's how many people that are going to be here that day. How many Social Security employees are going to be here that day. So that's how this is how many appointments we're going to open up for that particular day. And between now and then, people might decide to bail ship or call out sick and go get their other job at Uber because they're not getting paid, whatever the case may be. So if they don't, then you're still protected. Remember, if you set up that phone appointment in September and you wanted your benefits to start in September, then they can do it. Whether that takes them this year or this month, October, or if they don't call you and you don't get in touch with them until November, December, you can still start your benefits back in when you first called them. All right, let's put this person in. Let's go ahead and block that person. Okay. All right. Lily, I'm on disability and Social Security. I don't get much Social Security. What am I going to do? So what do you mean by you're on disability and Social Security? So on Social Security spouse benefits, survivor benefits, because you cannot get disability benefits and retirement benefits at the same time. So you're getting disability benefits and then spouse benefits or survivor benefits. So if you're not getting very much, then if it's under $967, then you can definitely reach out and see if you can get SSI. But other than that, definitely, because if you're getting disability benefits, you get Medicare after being on disability for 2 years. So maybe you can get the state Medicaid to pay for your Part B premium. So give me a little bit more information, Lily. And if I don't get to you today, We only got about 15 minutes left. Make sure you go on to my website, mygovexpert.com, and make a video and give me more details, and we'll see if we can help you out a little bit better. So speaking of videos, let's go ahead and watch a couple of them right now.
Letter this afternoon telling me that if I didn't sign up for Medicare, that my Social Security payments would be penalized. I turned 65 on February 25th of 2025. I was going to sign up for Social Security in November 25, 2024. Just your thoughts on this. Do I have to sign up? Or I thought my Medicare came on board automatically when I turned 65. Thank you.
Okay. All right. A lot to unpack there. So if you're currently receiving Social Security benefits, retirement benefits, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, once you hit 65, about 100 days before you hit 65, they sign you up for Medicare automatically. Yes, Part A and Part B. If you have health insurance from current work, yours or your spouse's, the employer has 20 or more employees, then you can refuse Part B. You can't refuse Part A, but you can refuse Part B and save the $185. So, but this gentleman did not sign up for Social Security, is not receiving Social Security benefits. So yes, you had to sign up for Medicare at 65 manually. You had to file an application online or call and schedule an appointment or whatever the case may be. So yes, unless you had health insurance. So if you have health insurance from current work, since you turned 65, current work, not a retirement plan or anything, and your employer has 20 or more employees, again, current insurance from yours or your spouse's work, then you do not have to sign up for Medicare at all. And there's no penalties whatsoever. So if you have health insurance from work, you're happy with it, and then 5 years later you stop work or, don't like that health insurance anymore, then you go ahead and sign up for Medicare and there's no penalty whatsoever. But if you didn't have health insurance from work, yeah, unfortunately there's a penalty. And I think you said you turned 65 early in the year, so you have 7 months, 3 months before you turn 65, the month you turn 65, and 3 months after. So it sounds like you're outside of your enrollment period. So if that is the case, then you're not going to be able to sign up for Medicare until January. January, February, and March is the general enrollment period. So if you sign up for Medicare Part A and Part B in January, it will start February 1st. And then you just need to find a plan to cover all those gaps, a lot of gaps in original Medicare, unfortunately. So you need to figure out a way to cover that either through a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare Supplement plan. And then you can reach out to Chapter and they can, you can reach out to them as well, and they'll give you more details and find out if you're in the special enrollment period or whatever the case may be. All right.
Hi, my name is Deborah.
Talking
I live
dogs.
in Arizona.
And cat.
And I was getting Social Security disability benefits. And then I turned age 65. And I was also getting Medicaid from the state. Then they took me off Medicaid, said I aged out. I didn't understand aging out. I'm very confused. I really needed that state because that was like a secondary insurance, and now I have to pay because I think my check probably went $100 more, but I'd rather get the insurance than the $100. So I'm confused. Now I'm turned 67 and I only get the Social Security retirement because now they took me off disability and gave me the retirement.
Okay. Yeah, the age out thing, each state does a little bit different. But yeah, age out, I mean, it sounds, yeah, someone, focused lady, very adorable photo. Yes, I agree. So about the age out system, it's, you also said $100 more. I could definitely see that. So that's one of the unfortunate things that happen. If you're getting Medicaid and then because of the COLA or whatever the case may be, you get a little bit more from Social Security, your disability or retirement benefits or survivor benefits or whatever the case may be. And then that puts you over maybe that $100, that puts you over your state's Medicaid limit. And then, yeah, they'll cut you off, unfortunately. Or possibly another thing, remember, Medicaid has different levels. There's QMB and Slim B and QI and different levels. So I would fight it. I would, never take anything lying down. Always appeal. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a Social Security, Medicaid, food stamps, a Medicare Advantage plan, prior authorizations, or whatever. Always fight it. If you think they made an incorrect mistake, because that's what's going to happen going forward, and that's how they're designing the system for what's called bureaucratic disenrollment. So there's going to be millions of people that are eligible for these benefits, but because the staff and the systems, and the bureaucracy is such that they're making you jump through these, just unbelievable hurdles. And because you didn't check this box and you didn't do this little thing, they're going to deny your application. And they don't tell you why sometimes. And so that's called bureaucratic disenrollment. And this is going to happen a lot going forward. It's happened a lot previously, but this is going to happen a lot. People that are 100% eligible for those benefits get denied for no apparent reason. And a lot of people, unfortunately, say, okay, I guess I just don't get it. I guess I'll go without food or medication for a few more months. No, fight it. Fight it. So that's the first thing I would do is I'd reach out and file an appeal and say, no, I disagree with that. I disagree with your decision. Here, I want to go and appeal. I want someone else to evaluate my case to see if I am, in fact, not eligible for those benefits. And then if you're not eligible, then even maybe at the lower levels, they may have kicked you off the higher level, but maybe they should have kept you at a lower level where you'd have still gotten more benefits. Then you just need to look for any other, make sure, and this is why I do this channel on a regular basis, if you're entitled to any spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, or anything like that. Speaking of, someone has one of those questions right now. So on your question there, yeah, if you have any other details, make sure you start there with the appeal and then come on back and we'll see where we can go from there. So I've got one more question that dovetails in here.
Ed. My name is Carlene, and I've tried to post this question, not to post it, to submit it via email. I'm not sure where the chat is. Maybe you can discuss that. But the question is, will spousal benefits end immediately after divorce, or will it switch to ex-spouse benefits? So my spouse will soon collect Social Security when he turns 67, and I am 65. I've sought work for several years without success. We have been married for 30 plus years.
There we go.
But right now, really, we're contemplating divorce. If I start collecting spousal benefits when he starts his benefits shortly, will these benefits immediately cease upon divorce due to?
Yes, but I was looking for that, how long you were married. You will you're getting benefits on your own record if you were eligible for those benefits. And then you're eligible for spouse benefits. One offsets the other, but you're going to be eligible for spouse benefits, and you'll get spouse benefits. And then if you get a divorce, then your spouse benefits will stop. But because you were married to that person for at least 10 years, you said, 35 years, then you're just going to be switched to divorce spouse benefits. So technically, yes, your spouse benefits end, but they just switch to divorce spouse benefits because you met the requirements of 10 years of marriage. So your benefits continue. For all intents and purposes, your benefits continue. So it's a beautiful thing. Someone was saying that there's a 40-minute wait time for chapter. Yeah, it's gonna get crazy. That's why when I first did my 6 Ps, my regular viewers will know, I just changed the last P to persistence to remind people that when you sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan, it takes a lot more work than a Medicare supplement plan. With a Medicare supplement plan, there's no prior authorizations, there's no networks. It's super, super easy to, manage, but it also costs money. When you sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan, zero premium, and it just takes a lot more work. 364 days of the year, sometimes you have to fight to make sure you're getting everything you can from that particular plan. But before I had the word persistence as the 6P, I had patience, because 2026 is going to be crazy. There's another YouTube channel out there that said this is the Medicare reset. And I think I kind of agree with that. Every few years, there's a massive change in Medicare Advantage plans and stuff. And I think this 2026 definitely counts as that. But remember, if you don't get in today, October 15th, probably the first 5 or 6 days, it's probably going to be difficult, but call them up, set up the appointment, and you have, until December 7th. Don't wait until the last week either. So call them up, and, leave a message or set up an appointment there. I'll put it in the description there. Yeah, if you get them October 15th or November 15th or November 30th, then, it's all good. Your new plan won't begin until January 1st anyway. So, but yeah, if you're having a hard time, Ari from Chapter is going to be here tomorrow. So we'll, as we used to say in the Marine Corps, we'll put him on the carpet. And yeah, because anytime anybody says, hey, I called and I had this issue, I send it to Ari, and Ari and his team always help you all out. Yeah, they're awesome like that. And if they're not, then we are no longer going to be partnered with them. But right now, they're doing a phenomenal job. They sure are good little babies just chilling out. Okay. When I was young, I went for a while without insurance, just had no extra money. For young people, and given a penalty hurt many. Yeah, but and that's the reason the Affordable Care Act is in the predicament it is right now. The shutdown is happening right now. When the Affordable Care Act was originally started, they said, okay, hey, what is the Affordable Care Act? You can't discriminate against people because they're human beings who are sick sometimes. It's called pre-existing conditions, which is a bullshit term, if you ask me. People have issues. So the Affordable Care Act says you can't do that. And then it also says that, you can't limit OBGYN. You have to have basic services. Kids can stay on there 26 years old. So that's basically what the Affordable Care Act is, just stuff like that. But they said, okay, if we're going to have more people on there, particularly people with, issues, we understand it's going to cost health insurance companies more. So we just don't want a whole bunch of people that are going to cost the insurance companies more, because the insurance companies will go bankrupt. We need healthy people, just like auto insurance. We need people not having accidents today to be signed up on auto insurance. We need people that are not sick to sign up, because maybe they might have an accident, right? Fall or something like that. They might need health care. So that's why the mandate came in. And then it was all, oh my gosh, the government's making us get insurance. Auto insurance, life insurance, okay, whatever. And they said, oh, we're not going to do that anymore. It says, okay, well, people can't afford it now because the pool gets smaller, and the people that, are healthy are getting out of the pool, and now it's riskier. So the government came in and says, okay, we'll help people get subsidy. We'll help them with subsidies. If you don't do it this way, you have to do it this other way. And now that's the issue, is of subsidies. So we can end subsidies, tomorrow, if we go back to saying, okay, just like car insurance, everybody has to have it. But yeah, if you design the worst system in the world, if you come up with the worst solutions, then, well, okay, wait a second, we already did. Yeah. One of two. Okay. My spouse will soon collect Social Security benefits. He's 67, I'm 65. I've sought work for several years without success. Married 30 plus years, but Carrie, are you the one with the that just asked this question? So if I start collecting spousal benefits when he starts his benefits shortly, will these benefits immediately cease upon divorce due to the... No, okay, so this sounds like the video question we just had. Might be the same exact person. But the 2-year divorce rule, yeah, a lot of people confuse this. Is the 2-year divorce thing, that is only for independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. And for those new here to our awesome community, we need your help. There's a lot of people out there that are eligible for divorced spouse benefits from their ex-spouse that are not getting those benefits because they say, well, I'm getting benefits on my record, but he or she, my ex, hasn't filed for benefits, and therefore I can't get benefits on there until they file. 100% incorrect. If you're currently married to that person, that is correct. But in terms of a divorced spouse, no. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. So as long as your ex-spouse is 62 years old, at least 62 years old, even if they're not receiving benefits, you can start benefits on their record. As long as you were married to that person for at least 10 years, and that's the 2 years. You've been finally divorced from that person for 2 years. So 10-year marriage, divorced for 2 years. Am I muffled? People are having issues hearing me here. Let me check my little volume here, see what's going on. It all looks perfect there. Thank you for letting me know. I'll yell even louder. So anyway, so that's independently entitled divorced spouse, but it sounds like in your particular case, it doesn't matter at all because you're just looking for divorced spouse benefits. And I think you said that he's already receiving benefits, but if he's not, then yeah, the 2-year thing. And there's another thing as well, that people make a mistake on when they get to divorce. Sometimes the ex or the ex's lawyer puts in the divorce decree that person can never get your Social Security benefits. And that is 100% BS. It's not worth the paper it's written on. Social Security doesn't care about that. For instance, I've done this a few 100,000 times. When people come in and file for divorced spouse benefits, I, as well as every other Social Security employee, requires 2 things: your marriage certificate and your divorce decree. So when you get your marriage certificate, show it to them. They look at the bride and the groom when you got married. When you get your divorce decree, they look at the 2 parties, the names, when you got divorced. That's it. They don't care about the other 40 pages of who gets the dog, who gets the Ford Pinto, who says you can't get my Social Security benefits. That is all BS. It means nothing. So in terms of Social Security, it might mean something somewhere else, but in terms of Social Security, doesn't matter. So there's a lot of people out there. Share, like, subscribe. Come on, let's help these. So many people out there struggling. So if you know anybody like that and they say, hey, you ask them, it says, hey, weren't you married to someone for 10 years or longer? And didn't that person make a whole bunch of money? Why aren't you getting benefits? Well, in the divorce decree, it said I couldn't. No, not even close. So does chapter help with Social Security and Social Security disability? No, they just help with Medicare plans, helping you navigate the Medicare nightmare, Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements and stuff like that. That's why you have me here. Let's see what else we got here. Steve, please review the questions in the chat right now. There are many people needing help whose desperation can be felt here. I feel for them. Yeah, we've only got an hour every day and we're over our hour. Chapter couldn't help me because there are only 6 plans in my rural county area doing the same as what I already got. Oh gosh, but at least they check for you. So yeah, there are some places out there in the desert, out in the country, that there's only like 1 or 2 plans that are even out there because they just don't make the health insurance companies just don't make any money. But at least you checked. So that's a beautiful thing. So just make sure you check every year. And remember, now your job is the persistence part of it. So whatever company, out of those 6, wow, that's not very often, not very many. And it might be the same exact company, right? So I probably know the name of the company, but particularly out in the West, out in the desert, there's like only one company that, provides, and they've got like maybe 6 different plans, but it's all from the same company or something. So let's see here. Do I have to notify Social Security office when I get married, but I'm keeping my maiden name? in terms of Social Security benefits, if you're eligible for benefits, if it's going to stop your previous benefits on your previous spouse or something like that, you have to notify them. But if you're not receiving benefits or anything like that, if you're just getting married and it doesn't affect any type of benefits, no, not necessarily. If you're keeping your name, you're not going to be updating your Social Security card with your new name or anything. So, yeah. But so you're going to keep your maiden name for everything, for the IRS and Medicare and stuff like that. So if that's the case, then you're good. But if you want, but if there's some people, when they get married and they change their name, then they file taxes under the new name, and then they have an issue because the IRS system and then Social Security doesn't, the systems don't talk to each other because the name is different. So you actually technically had to go down to Social Security and update your Social Security card. You won't get a new number, obviously. You just change your name on the Social Security card. And now I guess the IRS and the Social Security Administration are going to be talking to each other even more, which might be a good or a bad thing, because the Commissioner of Social Security, Frank Bisignano, is now also the CEO of the IRS. The current administration decided the Social Security Administration wasn't that big of a deal. Social Security Administration is a part-time gig for the boss of Social Security. Now his full-time job or his main job is the CEO of the IRS. So now he's wearing two hats. Multitasking, which is Latin for not doing two things at the same time. So, all right, let's get one more question, then we'll call it a day. Let me see if I can find someone. Keto for Life. I accidentally pressed that I needed help with Social Security when I called chapter and they referred me to Ed. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, if they don't help with Social Security. So, and I tell them not to provide help with Social Security because they don't know Social Security. And I wish there was a bunch of other social media people out there, and there's people out there that go to this 2-day online class and they get this cute little certificate that says they're Social Security experts, and they go out there and start giving Social Security advice, and they never worked at Social Security. They just took a 2-day class so they can get a cute little certificate and go out there and do presentations at the senior center about Social Security. When you ask them a question, they haven't got a clue. So those people stop pretending, and stop giving. So, all right, start giving information because it's causing a lot of problems. They're giving out incorrect information. A lot of people are losing money because of it. So, all right, we are done for today. I apologize. We are going to have Ari back again. We're going to have him back again tomorrow. And so if you have any questions about all things Medicare, Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, chapter, how they help, how they can help, if you have issues getting through to them, tomorrow is your opportunity. All right, y'all have a beautiful night, and please take care of each other. Bye. Please, 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 please take care of each other.